Dan Hoole takes his first World Tour win, and what a way to take it. The time trial on stage 10 of the Giro D'Italia. We know that Isaac Del Toro does keep the pink jersey, but we've been talking about getting abacuses out here in the studio, counting with the beads and trying to work out exactly what the time gap is going to be. I can tell you now because it's popped up on a different screen. He's got 25 seconds over Juan Ayuso now. Primoz Roglic has moved up to 5th. He's in 1:18, just behind Simon Yates, who's in 4th at 1:03. Adam Yates, Simon's brother, is in 7th at 2:06. That is a fascinating top 10, and no mistake, Adam, isn't it?
It's a brilliant top 10. What I love about this is this rain has caused absolute chaos. Not just the results of the time trial, but that GC as well. It's really thrown a spanner in the works. And for us watching at home, also the riders on the ground, it's just throwing that little bit of uncertainty in the mix. How well is everyone going? How good is everyone feeling? Because that rain today massively affected things. I don't think we got the true test of who is on the best form with that weather coming down. So I'm looking forward to this after this.
Yeah, but it's eaten chunks into the GC gaps anyway, hasn't it? Let's talk about Dan Hoole first of all, though, Robbie, because he deserves his moment in the spotlight, doesn't he? What a win that was.
His first international professional win, and first one outside his own country, because he's obviously, you look at his jersey, he's Dutch national time trial champion, but he hasn't won anything else as a professional, so a good way to kick the door in and get your first big victory. And he had, of course, the benefit of riding in dry conditions, and that was always going to be the case today. What the radar was telling us that late on it was very, very likely, almost a given, that the top of the GC were going to be affected by rainy conditions. But you can't take anything away from Dan Hoole, because that was a sensational ride, because he also, in the same dry conditions, beat Josh Tarling, who won the opening time trial. Hoole was 6th in that opener on day 2 of this race, and he really wasn't far behind, a matter of 7 seconds. So, unreal performance. So, I won't temper it by saying not everyone had a good chance, because I think he could have won it anyway.
Smashed it.
I mean, on his Instagram after that first time trial, he said he's getting close to nailing this discipline now. As you say, he has been national time trial champion, but against this field, that's something else. Josh Tarling, of course, we saw his calibre in the first time trial. Wout van Aert was off the pace. We had Eduardo Affini, European champion, beat him into 5th. I mean, it was an incredible field of riders to beat, Matt, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at that result, when he looks at that result, looks at the riders he's put away, and as the lads were saying, the weather conditions did play into it, but all you can do is just ride to the conditions. And those early shots, we were calling it those early shots, there was still a lot of wet and dry. We saw a few puddles on those corners. He was taking risks. And you need to manage risks if you're going to win a TT. But as you said, he is the national champion. He's proven over this discipline. And just look at the way he's been riding in the first part of this Grand Tour. There we go. I mean, look at the way. I mean, do you know what I mean? He's probably the tallest rider in the peloton.
100%.
This one, he nearly. Well, we cut away a little bit early. He had to recorrect and straighten the bike. He nearly went into the foot part of the barrier. But that is a man 100% committed, a man on form. That's the 4th stage win for Lidl Trek. That's 19 wins this year. He fully deserves his place in the spotlight, 100%. And it was lovely to see the delight on his face, but that was a long, nervous wait in the hot seat.
Yeah,
but full congratulations, yeah.
What's nice about that is, as well, those 19 wins that Lidl Trek have got, how many has he contributed to? Because he's done all the classic seasons with Mads Pedersen, the opening couple of stages with Pedersen, really looking after him. And that's the nice part about him winning, that how many wins has he contributed to where he's not been in the spotlight and had his hands up. But without him there, those wins might not have happened. So he's a huge part of that team. So it's great that he's got his hands in the air, for sure. Yeah,
he's the sort of guy that we wish there was an official stat for assists.
He's involved. Isaac Del Toro, for a little moment on the road, we thought maybe he could be losing that pink jersey. He still has a lead of 25 seconds over his teammate Juan Ayuso. Let's get into that first of all, shall we?
Yeah, I mean, he's still in a hot position. I think that team's still in the best position possible. I think Simon Yates has done a brilliant ride, and Roglic has moved back up, obviously, a little, and brought back a little bit of time. But in general, for UAE, not much has changed, really, at the top. I think Ayuso is stabilising his position as the leader, as he did at the start of this race. But he's still got a teammate in front of him in pink, and 25 seconds, yes, it's not a minute, but that's still a big old gap, and that's a gap that I think if Del Toro, Ayuso is ever to take that back or try and take it back, he can do that in chunks, just at the finish where he can nip away, as he did the other day, just start taking chunks a little bit. I think if he starts attacking Del Toro slow, like from a long way out on these climbs, I think that's when we'll know that Ayuso is the clear leader, really, but he wants that jersey back. There's no team tactics involved. It is, I want this, I'm going to take it from you, and that's that.
OK, let's get into that then, because we will move on to talking about Primož Roglič and the rest of the top 10 in a moment. But how does this work out then? If you're Juan Ayuso, or indeed Isaac Del Toro, Robbie, how are you strategising the next week of racing? OK, the management have said we will let the road decide. That's all fine, OK? That's a bit hands-off. That's we'll see which rider has the best legs. But if you're either of those riders, how are you looking at riding and racing this next week?
To the outside world, you're holding the line, you're telling the same story.
Okay,
it's the team this, the team
blah,
that,
blah,
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 blah, blah, blah, blah. But the road has already started deciding. That is a fair chunk of time that's come off the lead of Del Toro compared to Ayuso. And I think it's a prelude of what's to come over the second half of the race. I think in Ayuso's head, he'll be thinking, told you, you will see who's leader of this team. And I think that's going to come out over the next few days. I think what's going to help him is other riders, I think, will start to make the decision for them. I think other teams are going to start to go on the move and get pressure on. And if Del Toro starts to get dropped, it's going to become plainly obvious. And then everyone will know there's one card to play for UAE. And I think they'd like to narrow it down sooner rather than later as well.
Yeah, and that's if Juan Ayuso turns out to be the strongest rider of the two and Del Toro can't keep up and loses time. But, Matt, would you explain for everybody watching at home exactly what we mean by this, the road will decide? What does that translate into?
It's a classic way of actually saying we're not too sure what's going on. It's basically, so the road deciding is basically a natural selection. So that's the road deciding. It does sometimes decide when you've got, let's say, 3 mountaintop finishes in a row. And when the pressure's on, there's a natural selection, the cream rises to the top, and the GC is formed quite simply. Without any tactical play, it's a purely physical scenario. And the road decides is generally a physical scenario. The road decided today because that was a physical and also a risk-taking scenario because of the corners. But what we have over the next few days, and even in the final week, is a distinct lack of mountaintop finishes. So how do they play it? Who is the leader? How do they ride? They've still got Adam Yates up there as well. So they've got two leaders and a third. How do they play it? So it is very difficult. And this is where discipline is really going to show within the team. Are we going to see cracks when an attack goes? Who follows? Is it the first person to respond? Is it Ayuso to respond? Or is it Del Toro? So it's actually very complicated to manage. They are going to come under attack. It's the way they manage those situations that will determine it. There are a few more occasions where the road will decide, but not that many.